welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing another night of bicep curls. Having lots of fun, just knocking it out. I'm going to jump right into it with the 10-pound dumbbells. That's 4.53 kilograms. Here we go. Hope everyone's having a nice Tuesday. I'm definitely having a good Tuesday. I ate a ridiculous amount of dinner though. I will say that. Made hamburgers today, and I probably ate half a pound of hamburger meat. Probably not horrible, but not the greatest. I like buying like that nice grass-fed beef from Costco to make my patties out of. It's like very dense, but good. That Costco brand is like the first, or the stuff they sell at Costco is the first like organic grass-fed beef I ever gave a shot to. And it was only because the stuff that I normally bought one time, which was cheaper stuff, was out. So then I had to buy that, and just really liked it. I definitely felt there was a huge difference in the flavor, and that even though it was more expensive, it just seemed like it was worth the price. So good beef. All right, gonna grab 20 pounds, 9.07 kilograms. Just warming up. And I had a conversation with one of my kids today. They started to, like a couple of things recently. They've made comments about being fat, and they're really young, and I don't know where they got it from, but just had a conversation about, not letting people talk to you like that or talk about your body, and it was good. It was a good conversation. I think it's important, like if you hear your kids doing something new that's negative, you take the time to figure out like why are they being negative, and give them like positive feedback and the tools to defend themselves against people saying stuff. And it's really weird because none of my kids are fat. I jokingly told my kid, I I used a like shut the up, like if someone called me fat, like hey, it's none of your business, so you can just shut the up. And so no, that's not okay to say. But at the same time, I feel like if somebody was bullying my kid at school and they shot off something like that, it would force the teachers to take it more serious faster. You know, like if you hear this, it's funny thing about adults. As long as the kids aren't swearing, they don't necessarily hear the mean things that are being said. But as soon as somebody drops an F bomb, everybody would be like, "Oh, like what's going on? Like, why did you say that? Why are you swearing? Like you can't swear." And it would really open up that conversation. Well, I'm swearing because so and so was making fun of me for being fat. I feel like the conversation would, or the corrections would come faster that way. There's this comedian, Bert Kreischer, and he has a story about how his daughter, they were talking about using safe words so that if someone had to pick their kids up from school, then they would know what the safe word was. And he tells a story that I think it's on one of his specials, but he talks about it on his podcast. So his youngest daughter wanted to make the word something profane, and was like, and he was like, "Oh, you can't say that." I said, "Yeah, but like nobody's gonna say that to a kid." So he tells the story. He's told the story multiple times. A lot of people have heard this story. And the other day, it finally occurs to me, his poor daughter probably has like either fans of his or random creepos like stopping next to her and just saying absolute profane language to her, trying to guess what their family's password is. Just rolling up and saying stuff and then killing out when it's not the right word. Probably was not his best move. All right, we're gonna head on up to the 40s. Have some fun there. Last week had some small improvements over the week before, so hoping to keep that party going. Like to keep making improvements as much as possible. Work down. There we go. Starting that off with a set of 9. So was the last week's set of 8. Whew. Felt better. Hmm. I like listening to podcasts. And it's funny as here, guys, like Bert Kreischer is notorious for it, like giving out way too much information about his life, where you know everything about his family, and you don't even have to barely do any research. Like, but just people just they don't realize like the small details that they give people about their lives, and everybody knows. Although I feel like in this like day and age, if you know the bare minimum information about anybody, you can find out everything about them. You know, there's tons of websites that want to give you everyone's information for a fee, so it's not that hard. All right, let's do this. So if I can get more than 6, it'll still be an improvement over last week's second set. Let's just keep the good times rolling. All right, that's 7. Well, the good thing about the amount of protein I had tonight and those burgers is my body should be able to recover from what I do tonight and yesterday fairly easily. So that's nice. There was one, I don't even know if this problem got solved because this story is like a few years old, but I learned that there were sites that would post up people's photos when they were arrested and talk about what they were charged with, but they wouldn't say that the charges were overturned, the person was never convicted, that, you know, they would turn out to be perfectly innocent. They would just have their arresting photo, the booking photo, and the charges they were committed, like they were accused of. And then I guess you'd have to pay them to take it down. But once they had it up, all these other sites would put it up too. So then you would have to go around and just pay to get all this stuff scrubbed. And that seemed a little problematic. Like if you were accused of something and then innocent, but you went to apply for a job, like it would show up on a background check, which would suck if you were wrongfully accused. All right, that was 5. I did 9, 7, 5. Those are the sets. Last week I did 8, 6, and 5. So improving still. And I grab the 30s and start doing that. I knew this girl. We both were getting hired on to this company at the same time. It's like a really nice girl, and went through background checks. And when we were supposed to be starting, she was told like, "Hey, like you can't start yet." And I go, "Well, why?" "Oh, thanks for the thumbs up." And her background check came in that she had a warrant out for arrest in a different state, and that's how she found out that her identity had been stolen. And so she had to go get that all taken care of. And it was a bit of a bummer on her side because it felt like the person that was telling the information didn't really believe that she wasn't lying. So that was a little bit of an embarrassing situation for her. But she found out that her identity was gone or stolen. I have a credit card that's gotten like compromised like twice, and every time that it's the same Walmart, someone tries to use it. I don't know if it's the same person, same crew, or what, but they somehow get my number, and they always try to do a transaction at the same Walmart. My mother-in-law, her husband had the same thing happen, except they're actually able to like use his credit card, but was also at a Walmart. It makes me wonder if like Walmart's the place people really like to hit up those credit card transactions. All right. All my life, I've had a penchant for getting my foot stuck in my mouth, for making situations awkward. Talking about Walmart, one time we were at this party, um, and was was that for my then girlfriend, now wife's, um, one of her family members was having this party, and it's just talking about Walmart. And we are talking about just people getting crazy, and I was talking about the old email chain of like the people of Walmart that would go out, and it would always just have stories about people getting in bleach fights in Walmart or different just crazy things people would do while at Walmart, fighting with each other. And I was talking about it, and this one person goes like, "Oh, that's weird because like we shop at Walmart." And I was like, it's not everybody that shops at Walmart. It's just a collection of stories from Walmart. It's not necessarily everybody that shops at Walmart is that way. I shop at Walmart a time or two, not not lately, but I used to shop at Walmart all the time before everything got locked up. But that was an awkward moment. I stopped shopping at Walmart years ago, but due to I didn't like that they would ask to see my receipt when I was leaving the store, and that annoys me. Like I go to Costco, but Costco showing your receipt is part of the deal. But the idea that I gotta open up, showing my receipt and then open up my bags, I just don't like that. If I do go there and I'm walking out, I just tell them no thank you and keep walking. I also stopped because I noticed a few times that they were making interesting choices about who they were asking, like whose bags they wanted to see and whose bags they were just letting through. And it definitely seems slanted more towards one group of people than another. That made me a little more on the pissed off side about it. And they were just turned rude. It was like Walmart greeters for a long time when I was younger were like very hospitable, and it was like the nice thing about going to Walmart. And then the second they started checking receipts, they got to be a little ruder and nastier. And I don't like disrespect. Oh, man. Be right back. Got a kid on the move. Wait a second. All right, and I'm back. Somebody wanted water. And that same one is the one that's potty training. So it means I'm definitely having to wake up at like 2 o'clock to go in there and make sure they use the bathroom. They got to my wife's jug of water and just were downing it by the time I got upstairs with a cup of water for them. So it's definitely going to be wetting the bed tonight if I don't get them up first. So that's the fun part about parenting. So much fun. All right. So they just released the JFK files, and I'm really excited to see. I'm interested to see what comes out of it. I do have a strong suspicion that I think that some people will be embarrassed by what's in there. Some people maybe that we didn't know were spies will turn out to be spies. Some people that we didn't know had connections to the mob or different things might come out. There has to be stuff in there that is embarrassing, which is why the whole side where they didn't want to let it out in the first place. That was their argument for waiting this long, was that there was embarrassing stuff in there. So that'll come out. I don't know if there'll be any real like revelations about super conspiracy stuff. One of the things I think of is there was this story this sci-fi writer Robert Heinlein wrote where I forget the name of the story, but an actor is hired to play this senator to Mars, and the guy going to Mars gets killed, so he has to take his place, and he meets the president of the United States, and the guy that he's replacing kept detailed files on everyone, and there was no file on the president of the United States, so he figured he never really met him or had in-depth conversations with him. And when they're talking, the president reveals that he knows that he's not the real guy, that he's an actor, because normally the senator would tease him about his model train obsession, and he didn't, so he knew he wasn't the right guy. And that's when it occurred to the actor that, of course, for someone as important as the president, he wouldn't have a file because he would remember everything about the president. It's the president. He wouldn't need an extra file to tell him, that information. And I feel like the same thing about the Kennedy files. If there was a conspiracy in there, if they actually did kill, if a faction of the government killed Kennedy, it wouldn't be in those files. It'd be buried very, very well. I think if anything, that's what the files will show, is that there was passive investigation that weren't followed. And that will lead like questions. Well, all these arrows point this way. Why didn't you ask any of these questions? And that might be where some information comes out. Well, there may be some smoking guns in there that people, when they're doing those investigations, put in information or left out information that people will know is false. I think that's entirely possible. kind of like people that committed crimes before DNA evidence was a thing. So they weren't careful, they weren't worried about DNA, and they left DNA on bodies, and then lo and behold, DNA evidence comes out, and now all of those old cases are reopened, and the killer's caught. That may happen, when I'm sure that those papers have been fed into multiple AI, thanks for thumbs up, multiple AI computers by now to analyze and correlate and find pathways and stuff to figure out what's missed, where information's false. And that'll be interesting. There's always a story that everybody remembered where they were when Kennedy died, but when George Bush Sr., the first Bush president, was asked, like, he didn't know, couldn't recall where he was that day. So that stuff may come to light. Someone may make a claim that they were someplace, but they were somewhere else. I'm interested to see the information they have on Martin Luther King be released. I have a sneaking suspicion that the FBI was part of some of the things surrounding his death, and their behavior towards him and the way they acted towards him was definitely wrong. And it'd be great if more of that stuff would come out. I don't think that that's kind of behaviors and things that they were doing to Martin Luther King stopped. I think they probably still do them today and pressure people that way today. But I feel like if we brought that out into the light, it would cause more people to be able to step up and be like, yeah, hey, like the FBI is doing this to me too. That's why I say, like, sunlight is the best disinfectant. I will say this, like, with all that information coming out and just a lot of the ways people are talking lately about World War III, I think if you're, between the ages of 18 and 35, definitely work on getting into shape and getting healthy. I think, having a physical goal in mind of at least being able to do the bare minimum of what the different I would pick the Marines, of what the Marines require of their, of a Marine, like just the PFT, like be able to pass that, I think would be good. Because if things do go bad, and God forbid they start drafting. You don't want to be hurting in boot camp. You want to be able to focus on actually learning the job and not just how much it sucks to run or how much it sucks to lose weight quickly, but be focusing on the most important parts of that job. Thank you. Thumbs up. That's what I would be looking at. Start doing some assessments of yourself. Like if I went to boot camp today, the physical side of it would be maybe a little hard at first, but not bad. I've also worked a lot of hard jobs and done a lot of hard things. So the physical aspect of it's not daunting to me. But if you've never, done anything hard, I would strongly advise start pushing yourself a little bit more with some hard activity. Just for your own survival. And I think if you're raising older teenagers, definitely keep them in mind because this thing could go south tomorrow. It could go south in a couple of years. And if you've got a son that's 16 or 17, you should do your best to get him prepared for the worst. My kids are younger, but I already do, try to make sure that they're healthy and stronger than most. That was 8. Whereas I had the benefit of being raised by 2 Marines. My mom and dad were, both in the Marine Corps. Of course, they would say that, once a Marine, always a Marine. There's no such thing as a former Marine. But they definitely made us tough. And I think like giving my kids the ability to try things that are hard and push past difficulty, even at a young age, puts them way above a lot of their peers. And I think it will help them just in their confidence and how they conduct themselves, their pride, their when they know that they can do things that are physically hard, maybe it'll help them when they're faced with things that are academically hard. I'm 39. My chances of being drafted are pretty slim. But I do feel like if we were in a conflict that demanded bodies and was a righteous war, like World War II or something, I'd want to do my part, and that's one of the motivations I have for staying in shape and being in good shape. Is I don't want something to tip off and me show up at a recruiting office somewhere and then be like, oh, sorry, man, there's no way, you're old and out of shape. I want to show up and then be like, hey, you're old, but yeah, you look like you can do this. Oh, God forbid it comes to that, because I don't want to leave my kids or my family, and but I also don't want to not do my part if it comes to that. I'm 25 pounds now. I mean, I feel like things are pretty crazy now. Like you have more and more domestic acts of terrorism happening in the U.S. right now. You look at just the gang warfare, but outside of that, people's response to Elon Musk and the way they're, you know, setting fire to Tesla dealerships and spray painting and doing all sorts of stuff. That kind of behavior can quickly get dangerous and have a domino effect. I think, unfortunately, being physically prepared for the off chance that you might be thrown into combat is probably pretty critical. And you might think it's far fetched or crazy, but I bet you 10 years ago, if you had found a young Ukrainian Jewish comedian named Zelensky and told him that he would be the president of Ukraine, standing between its destruction and Russia, I bet you he would have thought that was pretty absurd. I was like, no way, that's not in the cards for me. I'm a comedian. I'm not that guy. The weight of the world won't be on my shoulders like that. And then it happened. Maybe it's because I was a Boy Scout and Cub Scout, and there's the motto of "Be prepared." Kind of gets drilled into you. That makes me think the way I do. But I think there's good cause to be prepared. That's one of the reasons too. I like one of the things that helped me make the decision to not take a bunch of products to support my working out, like different protein shakes or pre-workouts or pills and stuff, is I wanted to know that I wouldn't lose or I wouldn't have a hard time maintaining what I had if suddenly I only had the amount of food that I ate and not a bunch of supplements. That's good. I don't take any supplements, and this is where I'm at. So if things went south, I know how I can stay strong and feel good about myself without a bunch of help. Nothing wrong with help. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. Just saying I prefer to know at this point in the game I don't necessarily need it. And need, also for the clarification, doesn't mean that I don't think it would be effective or I don't think it wouldn't help me. So I'm not in any way opposed to taking supplements or don't think that they're worthwhile. I just choose not to. I was on a trail the other day, and there was a guy that was talking about he doesn't like to wear the plates because he feels like it gives him issues with his breathing. Now, I don't know if it's just I haven't pushed myself hard enough while wearing the plates, but I haven't really noticed any particular problem with breathing. I wonder if that's a common. I have to remember to look it up and see if that's a common complaint. I like the plates. I don't know, like right now I'm just doing bicep curls, but I like it because it kind of helps me keep track of my posture a little better. I think it's good. But I think I have pretty good lung capacity from playing a saxophone when I was a kid. I think that helped me a lot. I think my lungs are in pretty good shape. And I don't know if I can do a full 100 yards, but I can do over 50 yards swimming underwater in a breath. I feel like it's pretty good. I can tell you, I can hold my breath swimming longer than any of my family members that are ever around for that. So this does sound awful, but when I was younger, I realized like the secret to being a good liar was you had to tell the lie, memorize the lie, and then only ever tell yourself the lie. You never recount the original story. The lie becomes the original story, and you only ever repeat the lie. So then when you tell the lie, it's perfect and it doesn't change. And then you start to forget what the truth was, which makes the lie even better. But I would only lie if you could get away with it. And my brother told me a story the other day about we were messing around and I caught him with a knife when we were younger. We were like playing around and then he told me a story. I was like, I don't remember this at all. Like, couldn't tell if he was like lying or joking with me. I was like, I don't remember this at all. Until he said, yeah, but what we told Dad was this. And when he said the lie, then I remembered the story. And somehow after all of these years, the lie is what stuck more than the actual story. Once he said the lie, then I remembered, oh yeah, okay, now I've got it. That's a little scary about how well a lie can, root itself if you force it and make it. Maybe a cautionary tale there. that's it for tonight. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good Tuesday, good night, and a good rest of your week. Tomorrow's hump day, Wednesday. God bless you.